about how you can use them just in a more informal way, just kind of as a prompt perhaps, and then using questions and things like that to really kind of explore various things. So we're going to talk about house, street, person, kinetic family drawing, kinetic school drawing, and then draw your therapist, which is one of my. Okay, so house, street, person. How many of you guys have used this? I don't know who's used it. Okay. So again, you give them the instructions. Some people will do 3 sheets of paper. Some people want them to draw house, street, person all on one. So you just give them the instructions. I want you to, on the sheet of paper or the 3, whatever you want to use, draw a house, a tree, and a person. So the house is supposed to give you information on issues relating to the home and those living in the home. So it's kind of a perception of their home life. So some sample questions, who lives in the house? Do people live in the house? Do people visit the house? Is it a happy house? What goes on inside the house? If they have specific windows in there, what room is that? Okay, what happens in that room? Asking those kinds of just exploratory types of questions, okay? The tree is supposed to represent their psychological development and feelings about the environment. People get stuck on that, oh, is it grounded? Is there roots? Is there a hole? That means there's damage, right? But again, right, if there's leaves or branches, you want to explore it from kind of their perspective. So I ask questions like, what kind of tree is it? How old is the tree, right? And if the age matches their age, that might be a little bit more insightful. I like to ask, who waters the tree, right? Does the tree get enough sunshine? Okay, so those kind of just random exploratory types of questions might give you a little bit more information. The person is supposed to be a personal projection. I ask about the gender, the age, what they're feeling, what they're thinking, what are they doing, what does this person need most? Okay, that's a question that I like to ask. So you get some pretty interesting types of answers. So just kind of informal types of stuff. And on the drive, I have a sheet with many other questions that you can ask. And so I'll upload those on there so you have a sample of other questions that you might want to ask or things like that. And it'll also go more into specifics. If you are into the wanting to try the formal analysis, it'll talk about the different shapes and symbols and what does it mean if there's smoke in the chimney and all that kind of stuff. If you're into that, go for it. Okay, but again, it's more about the person's meaning, because even with smoke, I've seen different things where some people think, it has to do with there's fire and anger inside. Perhaps it's just about warmth. They have a warm home. So again, it's understanding the meaning for the person, for the child. Doesn't always go so well, okay? This was one from a child that I saw here. This was their house, street, person. Didn't really give me much, right? But again, it's still relevant to use it how you want. So what does this tell me about this person? This is a 10, so 10. Okay, so that's telling me a lot. Okay, telling me a lot. Okay, it doesn't always go well. Person has teeth. Okay, because they were angry.
Vampire teeth, no less.
Right. So you might think like, ooh, this didn't go well, but you can still get some information from it. Okay, but again, it's not always perfect. And then I would actually be interested if, if this was a therapy type of environment, later on after a few weeks of knowing, and have her do it again, and how would it change? Would it change? Would there be more detail? Would there not? Okay. And this is a child who's more on the RAD kind of spectrum, so the attachment issues and things like that. I want to see as we got more attached, would that kind of change at all? Kinetic family drawing, kind of like what I had you guys do, but a little bit different, where you're actually more specifically telling them to draw their family doing something. I kind of gave you guys more general instructions. So here's the instructions I like to use. Draw a picture of everyone in your family, including you, doing something. Try to draw whole people, not cartoons or stick people. Remember, make everyone doing something, some kind of action. Okay, so it's a little bit more specific. I try to keep it a little bit more neutral in here for the purposes, give you the option of drawing any family, but I would have them actually draw their family. And so this will give you information, not only how they feel about themselves, but how they perceive themselves into relation to the most important people in their life, okay, to their family members. Tell you a little bit more about the systems, any hierarchies, with dad being the son, is that having to do with hierarchy? Is that about power? Right, kind of exploring that. Boundaries within the family. If a child draws their family over here and they're over in a building, what does that mean? Okay, is that they're separate? Is that they want to be independent? What does that mean to them? It can be challenging for children who are in distress or concerned with family problems, because they're probably not going to want to do it. Okay, they might not want to do it. Okay, so it kind of just depends there. And with that, then you can mix it up. Draw a family of squirrels. Right? Draw something else. of being creative with that. And then again, having them tell you about the drawing is kind of where it matters. So we'll look at some examples. So here's one from, she was 4. And this is a happy day at the zoo. And what was interesting about this one, so it's a 4-year-old, she's got a brother and a sister. This is her baby brother, who's the biggest. Okay. Mom, a lion, and her sister. Her and dad are the lions. Okay. And so when I asked her about that, oh, it's because they have, they can roar really loud. Okay. So what is she communicating with that? Okay. And then again, sister, I said, well, why is sister over here? Well, she doesn't really live in the house. Sister is there part-time. Okay, so kind of seeing the distance there. Okay. And this is a rainbow and the sun because it's a happy day at the zoo. Okay. And so there was more information, but it just can kind of be helpful in exploring some of the family dynamics, you know, with her and dad being a little bit different, okay, as compared to other family members. And so we had a discussion about that and different things. And she talked about how mom and dad, you know, dad's kind of the louder one, and gave me a little example of their morning fight. So it was really cute. Okay. So let's go back to your drawing. Let's analyze ourselves. Okay. Oh crap. Okay. Just take a few minutes, go back to your own drawing, and just look at your own, consider what did you draw. You don't have to tell me about it. Just do your own informal analysis. What do you notice? Are there things that are relevant? Are there things that are not? What about it and how you described it? Okay. Just think of both process and content. What was it like for you? Okay. Yes. Right, and normally with you bring up a good point. So when we do the drawings in session, I want to give them as much time as possible. I don't rush them. If they want to take a whole session, that's fine. If they want to take a whole session and finish it next time, they're not pleased, we can do that. Yeah.
And like I knew there were markers here, but I didn't pick any of them because I was in a hurry.
Right.
But you didn't say to hurry.
Right. Well, because the hurry, because again, everyone around you, right, we're probably looking to see how far is Michael versus you, and then they're already talking about it, and you're still trying to draw, and still trying to decide what to draw. So those dynamics can also play a role with the environment. Yeah. So just something to think about. You guys can take your drawings and do what you will with them. Analyze them. Drop them off to me for another space. Okay, an alternative I like to use. Huh? Oh, I'm sorry. An alternative for the kinetic family drawing, again, if the person's resistant, not wanting to draw, if you have a child with 11 brothers and sisters, and draw everyone in your family doing something, probably not going to fit on one page, probably not going to want to do it. So an alternative I like to use is draw on a family member. Have them choose. Family member of their choice. Choose a family member and draw yourself and a family member doing something. Okay, kind of an alternative. And that can give you interesting information because who did they choose? Okay. And why did they choose them? Okay. Because this is an important person, is this someone that they're concerned about, someone they're worried about, things like that. And then what did they depict, and what did they say about the drawings? Kind of the same things, but just a little bit different, a little bit different nuance, giving you different types of information as well. I like to use this one with kids with issues in school, kinetic school drawing. So kind of the same thing. I want you to draw yourself in school, okay? Put yourself, your teacher, and a friend or two. Have everyone doing something. Try to draw whole people, do the best you can. Remember, draw yourself, a teacher, and a friend or two. Have everyone doing something. This is not one of mine. This is from a book that I found. And I think here is the person, and then their friend is ditching school. They're still in school, and this is the teacher watching them. Okay? It's kind of telling us about school issues, things like that. And even with kids, if they have social difficulties, I might mix it up and say, draw your lunchroom or wherever they have lunch, right? Especially the teen girls, as we get to the cliques and those kind of issues, you kind of get a little different feel of, you know, who sits where and who's sitting with who, and then where's your person sitting, where are they in that picture? It's kind of being creative with it. And one of my favorite ones I used to do is a lot, draw your therapist. Have you guys ever done this? Have them draw you? Brave enough to have them draw you? Okay. And again, how brave are you? Because this, eek, right? Can be really good, or is it going to be really kind of like, ouch? Okay. But it's a really good way to look at the therapeutic alliance, right? how does a child perceive you? Perceive your relationship? Okay. I'll give you a little bit more of information, because you are another significant relationship in their life, right? Also matters. Might help to provide information through visible perceptions that they might be hesitant or can't articulate with words about how they see you, right?
So how would you process that in a way that they can feel comfortable being honest about what they think, like good or bad?
Right, so well, you can say something like, some people will say, let's draw each other, or some people say, draw me.
But like, I mean, after they draw, like
Tell me about your
processing
drawing.
it,
Tell me
it's
about your
the
drawing.
same and.
Same thing, tell me about your
Same
drawing.
thing.
Yeah. And so with this one, you might point out, oh, she has big eyes. Oh, yeah, it's because you watch me when I do my drawings or something. Okay? And I think this is from the book. The big lips were because of talking, because she talks a lot. And the hair, things like that. One I did before with one of my kids years back, I had really big ears, and so I was like, I don't have big ears. It's because I listen. So kind of seeing what sticks out, what's a little unusual, and then having discussions about that. But again, you have to be confident and say, like, it's okay. You know, I don't really like what they did pick, but it's being open to that experience. And understanding that it might not be you, it might be transference. You might be representative of other adults in their life, okay? So it's not necessarily about you. It can be the symbolic relationship you have with them. It can be you as an authority figure. It could be you as, you know, a woman, as a man. It can involve those different types of transference issues, and that's where the conversation is kind of important, and being able to sit there with your own anxiety and explore that in a safe kind of way. But again, you want to be very intentional that you're not going to visibly react as they're drawing, like, ooh.
A monster.
Looking in the mirror, it's not what I look like. Let me help you, right? So it's something interesting. And again, this is something that you can do throughout your treatment and just see. Does anything change? Or not?
Do you want to put focus on yourself though? I mean, I guess that's something that I've questioned as a therapist, because so many kids don't want to talk about themselves, so you give them that outlet to go to you, and that's such a good thing.
I'm talking about, well, it's not really talking about you per se as a person. You're looking at your relationship through the drawing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
Okay.
But I'm also kind of just wondering if that's a help. I guess it would depend on the situation and
Right. No, for sure. I wouldn't do that with everyone.
right.
Not with everyone. Yeah. Because you have to gauge kind of your relationship with them as well. What's your comfort level? Is this someone that you feel that you can have that open kind of conversation, or is this someone who's a little bit more defensive where they're just gonna ream you through their drawing because they're angry about something?
Yeah, I just have a lot of teenagers who like to keep the focus off of themselves.
Right.
And so I would see that as them utilizing that as an outlet to project things onto you.
But maybe that's
That's very
a good
informative.
thing. Yeah, exactly, and it's in a less threatening way too. And sometimes kids need that decompression, I think, too. Sometimes, like feeling like they're not in the hot seat for 5 minutes.
Definitely gauge the child in your relationship, but not something to do with everyone. Okay. Questions on drawing? So let's talk about storytelling. Okay, so we have the thematic apperception, children's apperception, family apperception, and then tell me a story. We'll kind of cover a little bit more. Okay, so the underpinnings of the storytelling task is, again, you're going to get ambiguous material. It might be a picture, it might be some kind of abstract figure, and you're going to have the child make up a story about it or the person. Okay, it's a little bit different versus like the Rorschach, where it's just, you don't really know what it is, because there's certain pictures, especially like the one that you saw, that are going to pull for certain themes. Okay, because there's certain pictures that are going to probably trigger different types of scenarios. But you're still looking at underlying drives and emotional states, and scoring again is going to vary between whatever measure you're using. And when we talk about apperception, because these are all called apperception tests, it's based on that you're going to project based on your past, on your current state, whatever your stuff, you're going to project onto that scene. Okay? What it refers to. So the thematic apperception test and the children's apperception test. Again, a person is shown a picture and told to come up with a story about the picture. kind of like the instructions I gave you, a little bit different. Storytelling test, I have some pictures here I'm going to show you, and for each picture I want you to make up a story, what happened before, what's happening now, see what the people are feeling and thinking and how it will come out. You can make up any kind of story. Do you understand? Okay. And so for the children's, there's 10 pictures utilized. Just you do all 10. And then for the adult one, it's a little different. You have 32 cards to pick from, and I pick about 10. And then depending on the person, what I want to kind of explore, there's certain cards that'll pull for like depression. Other cards will pull for like relationships with parents or relationship with partners. So you can pull cards depending on what information you kind of want to get. There's some for suicidal tendencies and things like that. And then you have them tell the stories. And so what I do with that, because with testing, you really kind of have to be an observer. So you're very cognizant of where you're sitting, try not to intervene. You never sit right in front of them. You sit kind of behind them off to the side. And so I will actually audio record the stories, and then I'll come back and type them up or transcribe. Just kind of depends how you want to do it. And again, there's various scoring procedures that can utilize. I use kind of a more informal one, which I'll kind of cover a little bit. There's a family apperception test, which is similar, but it's used more family kind of settings, more family dynamics looked at. And again, it's scenes of kids and families. I'm going to show you them one at a time. All sounding familiar. Tell me what's happening in the picture, what happened before, what led up to it, what the character's feeling and doing, yada, 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 no right or wrong. Okay? And so this one looks at more family systems type of stuff. Okay, so if you really want to focus in on the family dynamics, you might use some of these pictures. And then there's Tell Me a Story. Oh, Valerie.
It's charged up.
Oh,
Did you bring your cord?
I did not.
Where is it? I'll get mine.
On my bag and my desk under the balloons.
On your, in.
They're actually, no, my bag's on my desk. So the black computer, laptop
Okay.
bag. So the Tell Me a Story test was created for kids hibernating.
I noticed before I
Did it?
went to sleep. It didn't, like,
Yeah.
it said it and then it.
No, so we don't.
Hibernating. So the Tell Me a Story, it was created actually because of the TAT, Thematic Apperception Test, and the Children's Apperception Test was created years and years ago. And so it was found that, the children depicted were kind of all Caucasian, so they thought, cultural minorities can't really project themselves as well. And then also some of the pictures are kind of outdated with some of the scenes and settings that people perhaps can't relate to anymore. So the Tell Me a Story, which will have a picture on there. Let me back up. Do you guys want to see family apperception cards? I'll pass some of these around. So this is a family one. So these are different family settings if you just want to browse through. And you can pull different cards depending on the family or the different dynamics for that. So with the Tell Me a Story, it's used to address cultural values. And so there's different forms. There's a standard set, which is kind of the original, and then there's also a set that you use for minority children. And the only difference is in terms of, the shades of the people. So I have an example for you on there that we can. Thank you. I'll have to work on it. Questions on the projectives so far?
On this side.
I might need just a minute. Oh, Scott.
We're back over there.
That is the right.